broadcasting. I am not going to do actually a fragrance review because this special fragrance doesn't need my review. I'm not going to break down notes neither. All I do is I'm going to talk about what happened to Opium by Yves Saint Laurent. Opium was launched in 1977 by the house of Yves Saint Laurent. The performers were Jean-Louis Siozak and Raymond Chaillon. And this project was supervised by Yves Saint Laurent and his perfumers for over 5 years. And finally, after 5 years, they launched Opium. And Opium was a huge blast because this was a blast of the 70s and the 80s. And everybody knows well that how much Opium was an important fragrance and was a bestseller, was a worldwide bestseller, and was a true banger. And this scent still remains, but this is the today version is just a pale shadow of the vintage version. And unfortunately, the brand of Yves Saint Laurent belonged to L'Oréal Fragrance. And L'Oréal really killed the Opium by the latest reformulations done in 2009 and 2010. And the current version is worthless compared to the vintage version because the vintage version was so perfect. You know, that was a kind of masterpiece. That was a kind of work of art. When you work 5 years on a project to be achieved, it's not very common that a brand put 5 years to achieve a fragrance project. Opium was a hell of a job and was a kind of personal achievement of Monsieur Yves Saint Laurent and his perfumers. And later it was so smashing hits that even Estée Lauder launched Cinnabar, which is a kind of clone of Opium. But what we can say is that Opium has been inspired by two main fragrances. Opium has been inspired by Youth Dew, by Estée Lauder, and by Old Spice. Well, this is my point of view, and I really stick on it. Unfortunately, what we have now is a worthless version of Opium. This current version completely reformulated and completely flat and watery and has no more spices, has no more natural blending that was inside Opium. Opium was such a complex scent and such a well-blended scent that now is gone. So all you can do is you find for yourself a vintage version. Maybe you have a chance you can find it on eBay or I don't know, wherever. But don't waste your money on the current version of Opium because the current version of Opium is just rubbish. That's my little word about Opium. And I'm very sad because I've been always an Opium lover. It's one of the best amber woody oriental scent ever made. And I think it's a big mistake by L'Oréal to kill Opium purposely. It's a shame, it's a pity, and it's a very unforgivable mistake. That's my point. That's my shout out of the day about Opium. The vintage version is great. The current version is worthless. Well, you can also write to me your personal opinion about the current version or about the vintage version. I'll be glad to read your comments. And I wish you a very pleasant day and also a wonderful end of summer. Cheerio.